says that mock exam, in-person class, and first term test.
It is actually very important. Yes, the term test is going to be in person at university. Yeah. Wait, I can't share this with you. I want to go over the schedule with you, but I cannot share it with you for some reason. Okay. Let's see if I can share it now. Yeah, here. Okay, that. Okay, so as you must have noticed, right? Today is the last content class that there will be, right? We're going to discuss constituency tests and structures, right? We have been talking about heads and modifiers, control and dependency, right? And this idea of constituents and constituency tests, right? Consolidates this, right? And continues exploring this kind of relationship, right? Next week, we are going to have an online exam practice and tutoring session, right? Mostly tutoring session and some exercises, right? To which everyone is invited, right? So there are 3 comisiones. This amounts to almost over 100 people, right? Maybe 120. I don't know how many can come on that day, right? But there may be more people than usual, right? Same thing for the 18th. And then we are going to work on the mock exam, which I will send you the week before, right? On the 27th, right? Both the 27th and the 27th of June and the 2nd of July, we are going to be meeting at university, okay? Then the 9th is a holiday, right? So our last meeting together is for the test, yeah? And then at some time during the holiday, you're going to get the result. Probably after the 19th, right? Because from the 14th to the 19th, it's also a break for me, right? A holiday for me, right? But from the 21st to the 26th, when we have final exams, right? I will be going over your exams and trying to complete the correction of the tests, right? Which, as you can imagine, is going, because I have over 100 students, right? It's going to take a while, right? And as you can see here in the schedule, everyone is having the test on the same week, right? Okay. Do you have any questions? No question. Yes.
Today we are going to revise the semantics exercise that we had to do for today.
Yeah, we can work on that. Yes, well, I was going to ask you how it went, right, and how you did with that. So let's plunge into that. Can you remind me the number of the worksheet, please? That's
I have
6.
Yes.
Number 6.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Because yeah. Okay. All right. So let me share that now, right? And we can start there. Okay, so how did it go with this worksheet? Laura has some questions. How about the rest of you? Yeah.
For me, the first part was okay.
Okay.
I have some problems with reference.
Okay.
That
All right.
part is a queer.
Okay. So let's see how the rest did with the first part, and if nobody has questions about the first part, we can go to the second one, right? So here, this was just a work with conventions, right? Remembering that conventionally, right, utterances appear between brackets, between inverted commas. You see that I'm tired, I'm sorry. Between inverted commas, and sentences appear in italics, right? So this is kind of like the convention. Yeah, Cecilia?
Yes, I have a problem. I couldn't understand the point 4.
Okay. So
If
let's
we
move
can
on.
try do at least one.
Okay, let's move on with the next, right?
Okay.
Are the members of the pair below the same sentence? This was the same idea, right? Identifying whether, right, this was the exact same sentence or not, right? And then trying to figure what B and B prime have in common, and C and E, right? Could you identify this? Because in Jack is a terrific goalkeeper and Jack is a terrific goalkeeper, do we have the same sentence here?
Yes.
We do, right? What happens with James sent the package to Liam, or James sent Liam the package? Is that the same sentence?
I think we have the same proposition.
All right, so we don't have the same sentence, but we have the same proposition, right? Does that also is that also true for D and D prime and E and E prime? Greg punched Phil. Phil was punched by Greg, and Sheila graduated last year, and she graduated last year. We have different sentences, but the same proposition. Yeah. Remember, the proposition is the message, the idea behind language, right? In number 3, we have do the sentences below express the same proposition. So you have to explore the message, right? Did you have any problem with these ones?
Sorry, with number?
Number 3. Exercise.
No.
No. Okay,
No,
so let's go to the ones that had problems with, right? Or wants to ask a question about, which is number 4, right? It says, now provide different sentences for the same proposition expressed by the sentences below, right? So we have a sentence such as, the movie star is wearing a diamond bracelet to the gala. The movie star is wearing a diamond bracelet to the gala.
I wrote, a diamond bracelet is being worn by the movie star at the gala.
Okay, great. That's one possibility, using passive voice, right, to emphasize or to focus on the bracelet rather than the movie star. Fantastic. Very good. What else? Is there any other way?
I did it, but I am not sure with this.
Okay, let's try.
The movie star is going to wear a diamond bracelet to the gala.
Okay.
It's okay.
Right, very good. Is going to instead of is wearing, right? Both with future reference, right? They're slightly different, but not that much, right? Okay, very good. You can find variants for a movie star. Yeah, instead of a movie star, the film celebrity, right? Or instead of the gala, you can say the fancy event, right? Something along those lines. So by using either a change in the structure with passive voice, an equivalent tense, right? Instead of the present continuous for the future going to, or synonyms, right? You would be expressing the same preposition with a different sentence. Cecilia, are you following? All right. So what happened with the others? What was your question?
No, I think that I have to do another thing, but now I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay, what did you do?
I think that I have to change everything in the sentences, but not.
Not necessarily. I mean, if, just by notice that you by changing one thing, you already have a different sentence.
Yes, yes.
So the instruction says provide a different sentence, and
Yeah.
if you change one word, you have a different sentence.
Yes.
So as long as the message is the same, you're safe. You're okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, great. How about the rest of the activities? Say whether the following sentences express the same proposition. Do you have any? Did you have any problem with this?
No.
Okay. 6. Explain the following passage. Look
I
at the
did
following.
it.
You did it. Okay. It says, normally when a speaker utters a simple declarative sentence, a speaker can mention a particular preposition without asserting its truth, right? Okay, so what did you explain, Lau?
Well, I explained when someone is saying a simple statement, he or she expressing facts that they believe are true. On the other hand, when a speaker is using an interrogative or an imperative expression, the preposition, I mean the message, can be true or false, depending whether it corresponds to facts.
Okay, fantastic, very good. Remember, it's proposition, right? But okay, good. So the prepositions will be asserted, right? Only when they are declarative. Yeah, affirmative, declarative. Yeah, well, or negative, declarative also. But when they are interrogative, exclamative, or imperative, they are not being asserted, right? Which is what helps you work with number 7, right? Part 2. Do the following expressions have a reference? Ha.
The first one, yes. The white
All
book.
right. Can you explain?
Yes, because a reference has to do with the real world, things that we know in real world, I think.
Okay. Can you be more specific? No, because when I say the jungle,
Yes.
right, I am also talking about the real world. Or when I say happiness, I'm talking about the real world, right? But is that a referring expression? I mean, there is one thing which is the real world, right? But what about the real world makes this a referring expression? Who can help with this?
The language could be?
Amelia?
Yes, I think it refers to the classroom.
It refers to the blackboard, right? But how do you know that they...
No, sorry, the classroom.
The classroom, okay. All right, but how do you know that this refers to the classroom? There is no question. This is a referring expression. How do you explain that?
It's like it refers to an object in depending the context.
Okay.
Would it be
Now,
like
Yeah, all right. How do you know? I'm going to insist with this because there is something very peculiar about language. Okay, Ivane, what in this expression?
Because-
This is a noun phrase, right? With a head noun and a determiner. That's it. The agreement has to do with sense, Fede. Agreement has to do with sense, not with reference. When we say there is an agreement, what we mean is that everybody has the same object in mind, right? And that has to do with language. Anna?
Yeah, maybe because it doesn't say a whiteboard, it's a
Exactly.
specific one.
All right. You have a definite article there. It is the whiteboard. Yeah, it's not a whiteboard or whiteboards in general, right? It is the whiteboard, right? So this gives the impression, right? And it points to one whiteboard in particular. Regardless of whether we know which blackboard is going to, is being talked about, right? That doesn't matter so much, yeah? The same happens with the teacher's chair, right? What happens with beer? Does that have reference?
No.
What do the rest of you think? Anna says no. Vanessa says no. Noelia says no. All right. Anna says no. Ivan says no. Valentina says no. Right. This is beer in general, right? So we don't know which can of beer or bottle of beer or a glass of beer or whatever beer, right, we are talking about. It's beer in general. The student sitting closest to the door, that is it has reference. Sit down, does sit down have reference?
No.
No, it has sense, right, but not reference. This classroom,
Yes.
yes or no? Yeah, thumbs up or down. And then Sylvester Stallone,
Yes.
obviously it does, right? Very good. Decide if the following expressions have variable or constant reference, right? My mother. Variable, variable up, constant down, variable. Anna? Okay. The teacher's mother, variable or constant? Variable, right, very good, because it depends on whose teacher, which is the teacher you're talking about. The national football team coach, also variable. The Atlantic Ocean, constant. Shakespeare last play. All right. Oh, there is a disagreement here. Some of you think it's variable, others think it's constant. Okay, explain yourselves.
Depends on time.
It was the last. That's it. After
All right.
that, he died, so it's the last.
What do you mean it depends on time?
I mean, it's true that in this case he already died, but if we are talking about a specific context, I mean, in this specific year, the last job, the last work of this writer is different, I mean.
Okay, all right, very good. If the sentence was his last play, right, or the writer's last play, yeah, that would be variable for more than one reason, right? But as Anna was saying, Shakespeare is dead, right? It's long dead, yeah? So there is one of his plays, which is the last one. And that is never going to change, yeah? It would be different if we said the last Harry Potter movie, right? And Francisco was saying, well, this depends on time. All right, well, maybe the year before the last one we know, right? That was the referred to one film in particular, right? And afterwards it referred to another one. And then since J.K. Rowling is not dead, right, and she may continue to write Harry Potter books, right, there may be more Harry Potter films. Yeah. So when there is the possibility of a variable reference, right? In the case of Shakespeare, that is not the case, right? Which is what happens with Shaminas Reza's latest play, right? Notice that instead of last, it says latest, yeah? This is a playwright who is still alive, right? So she's still writing plays, yeah? And that makes the reference variable, right? Okay, number 3, think of other expressions that have the same reference as the expressions below. Yeah, so here we have to think of equivalent expressions for the same reference. The capital of the province of Buenos Aires.
La Plata.
La Plata.
La Plata is another expression with the same reference, right? La ciudad de La Plata, yeah? All right, very good. La ciudad de las diagonales, por ejemplo, right? You know that La Plata is called La ciudad de las diagonales. Also, it's known for that, okay? Well, that's another possibility. How about the Bard?
What's that? Sorry.
The Bard. Oh, okay. You don't know. The Bard is a nickname that William Shakespeare had.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so the Bard. Okay. Well, you're going to learn no less about this in time, right? Because you're not having so many literatures now, right? But well, that was his nickname, the Bard, right? William Shakespeare. Okay, how about the Argentinian university that opened its doors in December 2015?
The UNAUR.
Yes.
Okay. UNAUR. Another expression for that?
National University of Hurlingham.
Exactly. Or in Spanish, Universidad Nacional de Hurlingham. Okay, great. The hand of God.
Maradona.
Maradona's hand, right? We know it because of that. All right. Okay, great. Then in the next activity, you had to work with sense, right? And it says, do the following pairs of words, expressions, or sentences have roughly the same sense, okay? And the word roughly is key here, right? Because we will see and we will discuss later that synonyms are never 100% synonymous. Case. There is always a reason for synonyms to exist, right? For example, do expensive and pricey mean roughly the same thing? Yes, they do, right?
Yes.
Why do we have two words then?
I think because pricey is more informal.
All right, this is one possibility. Okay, that one of the words, right, it has a different tone, yeah, is used in a different context, right? Okay, good. Unhappy and sad, roughly the same meaning.
No, creo que se está teniendo.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. My dog and my
Yes.
cat? No.
No.
Jill found Tom? Yeah, all right.
Yes.
You need water to survive. You need H2O to survive. You need to drink plenty of water in the summer. It is necessary for you to drink plenty of water in the summer. Okay, great. So we call these, remember, right, paraphrases. The following words, expressions, sentences have... Yes.
What about the?
My pet and my dog. My pet and my dog.
Because pet includes.
Sorry, I skipped that one. My pet and my dog. Okay, Interesting. What do you think about this one?
They are not the same.
I think they are not the same.
Okay, they may have the same reference.
Okay.
They may have the same reference, but they do not have the same sense, right? And we are going to see when we work with synonyms that and sense relations, right? That pet is what you call a hyponym, yeah, which is a word that includes others, yeah, in which pet is one option. Dog is one option. So you have pet, can be dog, cat, lizard, tortoise, right? Parrot, yeah, snake, I don't know, yeah? Or colors, red, blue, green, yellow, orange. You see? So this is what the characteristic of pet, right? But dog and pet do not have the same sense, right? Okay, move on. Here, the following expressions or sentences have more than one sense. Explain each of these, right? Okay, what are the different senses of wood? What can wood mean? The woods. Okay, okay, very good. How about leaves? Some leaves.
One could be someone leaving, and the other could be like some leaves, like some remains. I think it's
some leaves.
No, it's the. I think it's the plural of leaf, the part of a tree.
Okay. Right. I would say that it is either the leaf of many leaves of a tree, or of paper.
Could it be pages from a book?
Or pages, claro, leaves or paper.
Right.
Yeah. The invasion of Spain. Sorry, I don't have my glasses. Okay. The invasion of Spain.
Could it be like Spain being invaded or Spain invading another place?
So Spain invading a country or a country invading Spain.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, very good. The invasion of Spain. Very good. And Evan peeped at the man with the telescope.
It could be that Evan used the telescope or that the man had the telescope.
Okay, very good. Okay, so this is an instance, like C and D is an instance of, what do we call that?
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity, very good, right? So Evan used a telescope to peeped at a man who had a telescope. I'm writing down because the key was incomplete. All right, great. Now, how about 6? Decide if the following words or expressions have sense and reference, right? Sense and reference. So is it just meaning, right? Or meaning and reference, yeah? So we are combining the two things that we have been discussing. Explode.
Meaning.
Okay, just sense, right? Very good. The explosion.
Sense and reference.
Sense and reference, okay. While.
Sense.
Very good. A large green van.
Sense and reference.
Sense and reference.
Good. Friendly.
Sense.
Yes, many.
Sense.
Yeah.
Could be reference here. It's anything certain, but I don't know.
Out of context, no.
Okay.
You need a context. It may be right. So, for example, I don't know. Somebody asks, "Did you buy sweets?" Yes, many.
Yeah, that was what I thought. Okay.
Need context. Okay. How about Lynn's cell phone?
Some reference.
Sense and reference, and Google the answer.
Sense.
Sense, no reference. Very good. Now, number 7, do the words expression English and Spanish have the same sense? Again, we are here dealing with meaning, right? Flower, flora. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thumbs up or thumbs down, okay? Your books, tu libro. No, right? Not the same sense because you have plural and singular. Max mowed the lawn. Max cortó el césped. Yeah. Bill won't do it. Bill no lo va a hacer. All right. Very good. And number 7 here is you have.
That's all, I think.
Eh?
That's all.
There is one more here. I told you not to do this one.
Yes, I think so.
This one I told you.
I didn't.
Okay. Well, you can continue exploring this idea of sense and reference, right? By looking at exercise 8. It said number 7 too, but there was a mistake there. Decide if the underlying expressions are referring or not, right? And this goes back to what we were saying about the whiteboard. Yeah. Sometimes when you have an indefinite noun phrase, right, you may have a referring expression and sometimes not, right? For example, there is an animal trapped in the bathroom. Is an animal a referring expression?
No.
Do I mean an animal in particular? Do I know which animal I'm talking about? There is an animal trapped in
the bathroom.
Yeah. I don't know what animal it is, right? Or I don't know how it got there. And there are many pieces of information that is referring to an entity in the world of reality inside the bathroom, right? Notice the difference with B.
Yes.
Taking care of an animal can be a very relaxing and healthy activity. Is an animal in this context referring?
No.
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 Explain.
It could be any animal.
Any animal.
Yes, agree.
Right. Now, remember, right, that one way, we talked about this some time ago, right? That one way of checking this is by using one, right? So in the first case, I can say there is one animal trapped in the bathroom. Yeah, because I mean one in particular. Yeah. Whereas in the second one, I don't mean one animal in particular. Taking care of one animal can be relaxing and healthy. I mean animals in general, right? So I can use the indefinite noun phrase here or the plural. Yeah, taking care of animals can be relaxing, blah, 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 right? Whereas in the first one, I cannot say there are animals trapped in the bathroom. I change the preposition. Do you see? Do you see? Are you there?
We are here, yes.
Okay, but do you need more explanation?
I just got lost.
Okay.
But sorry, it's my.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
No, because I have some headache, so I'm just struggling
okay.
with the class. It's
so,
personal.
What I mean is this. This is referring, yeah?
Yes.
And the way to prove it is this. You can prove it by using one animal, right? Instead of an animal, right? And you have the same proposition. Yeah? And in this case, this is not referring, and I know I can prove it by using the plural to generalize, right? So I can say animals, yeah? And I have the same proposition. Yes?
Yes, sorry. I was thinking about the preposition. I got it in B, but preposition in A is in the bathroom. No.
No, the proposition.
Proposition. Sorry.
The proposition, not the preposition.
Sorry.
The preposition, the message. I have the same proposition. Yeah? Can you see this, right? When it is referring, you can use one instead of an or a. Yeah? But when it is not referring, you need the plural to generalize, right? Because an animal, taking care of an animal is a generalization here, right? So it's not referring to one animal in particular.
Merce, but instead of, in the case of sentence B, if there is taking care of one animal, can be very relaxing and healthy, in that case, it will be referring.
No.
No?
No, it would be ungrammatical.
Oh, yes, I understand now.
No, it's ungrammatical because you don't mean one animal in particular. Yeah, you mean animals in general. Yeah, when you take care of animals, right? Whether it's one or two or I don't know how many, right? That can be relaxing and healthy. Okay? Notice this, the next, I'm sorry, can you explain this again? Okay. Shall I use another example? Let's continue with the other example. Let's do this.
I think that the following is easier.
Yeah, I know. This is why I want to move on. So let's do this. I am going to give you a couple of minutes, right, to decide whether the expressions underlined in the next 3 sentences, these ones here, C, D, and E, yeah, these are referring or not, right? Take a couple of minutes. You can talk about amongst yourselves. I will come back in 5 minutes, okay? Okay. So what happens in C, when you have, I'm looking for a secretary who speaks Portuguese? Is that referring or not?
No.
All right. It's not referring, right? Because it's not one person in particular, right? It is a secretary who speaks Portuguese, so it has to be a person who has this characteristic, right? Okay, or this skill, yeah? But it's not one person in particular, right? It is any secretary who speaks Portuguese. This is another way, right, of proving. It's not referring, right? I'm looking for any secretary who speaks Portuguese, yeah? Great. How about D? What happens with D? I'm looking for a we need to choose a new textbook for the course.
No.
One in particular is not one in particular, right? Is any textbook, right, that is different from this one. The only characteristic it needs, right, is that it's new, yeah? So it's, again, any new, right, or one that satisfies our needs, yeah? But it's not one in particular, yeah? Okay. She showed us a new textbook they want to use next year. Is that referring? How do you know?
Because it's like she showed us. It's
Okay, all right.
Like decided, already decided.
And see it, yeah, very good, right? But and this you understand, right? But if the verb was different, she bought a new book to use next year. How do you explain? What in the language of this can help you? How else can you paraphrase this to show that this is referring?
We can replace it with one textbook.
Okay, she bought one textbook, right? Very good. Yeah. Not any textbook, one in particular. Yeah. Okay. What else? We did only those three. Okay. Now go over the others, right? Is this clearer now? Yeah, right? Okay.
So, Mercedes, to sum up, if it is a referring expression, you have to prove it by using one.
Yes, one or yes,
right?
One that.
That.
Right. That one. Yeah. It. You can replace it by it.
Okay.
Yeah, there are many ways in which you can prove this, right? Remember that tests. And
Yes.
We are going to
I was thinking about. I am thinking about.
Yeah. Remember that when testing something, right? It's best to have more than one. You have to try to use a paraphrase, right, in which the preposition stays the same. All right. Okay. One possibility is using one, using it, using that one, right? And in the case of not referring expressions or non-referring expressions, right? You can use any or the plural sometimes, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So continue, work with the others, right? And try to figure them out, yeah? And you will get the key later today. Is there any other question about this?
Yes, Merce, I have a question about the first exercise.
Okay. Wait.
The exercise F.
The first exercise or?
The part one, the first exercise. Utterance and sentences.
Utterances and sentences. Okay. Utterances. Remember pronunciations? Utterances. Yeah. What's the problem here?
In F.
Yeah.
It is in italics. So it's a sentence or not, because it's not a complete thought. So I get confused.
Good point.
It's a phrase.
So is it a sentence?
I don't know.
No, it's a phrase.
Okay, explain. What makes a sentence a sentence?
A subject and a predicate.
No.
Oh my God. Somebody help me.
Somebody help.
A verb and all.
A capital letter and a period.
Okay, I have a capital letter and a full stop, but you have those here. And we're saying it's not a sentence.
A complete thought, I think. I don't know.
Is this a complete thought? Apple juice. You like, you want, you drank, you saw, you hate.
It doesn't have a verb.
Okay. You need the verb and the complements, right? As Jess is saying, right? I don't know if Jess is Jess or somebody else, but that's the idea. Yeah, you need to have a head verb, right, with all its complements. Yeah, which is valid for the clause and the sentence. All right. Great. Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
A good call. All right. Anything else about this that you want to mention? No?
No, now.
Not now. All right.
Maybe the following class.
Okay, maybe next class when we do all the revision stuff. Okay. All right. So get your material and your notes about constituency tests, right? Because that's what we're going to be dealing with today. Yeah, in a minute. Just give me just 1 second because 1 second. Sorry. All right. So as I was saying at the beginning of the class, right, when it comes to making a point and proving your point, right, it is interesting and important to have more than one way, right, of justifying your choices, right? So we are going to work today with ways to justify control and dependency, right? We've been talking about heads and modifiers and their relationship, right? If you had to summarize the relationship or explain the relationship between heads and modifiers, what would you say about these two elements in syntax and in semantics? What would you say about these two? The relationship between heads and modifiers.
That heads control modifiers.
Okay, very good, right? So heads have a predominant role in this relationship, right? Okay, and the head is a central piece of information. Very good. And when you mean that it's the central piece of information and that they control, what exactly, I mean, how can you exemplify this?
It's an argument or...
Okay, so heads will select certain modifiers or allow, license. Remember this verb? Yeah, allow or license certain. It dominates the constituent. Okay, very good. Yeah, and how does it control the other elements? The other elements present. Can you provide an example of control and licensing? Let's think of the noun secretary.
I don't know, it could be a tall secretary.
Okay, very good, right? So secretary allows for an adjective such as tall. Yeah, very good. Does it allow for a wooden secretary?
No, because it doesn't have any sense.
Okay, right. It doesn't make sense, right? And it has to do with the animate component of secretary, okay? So try to find characteristics in the noun. This comes from grammar 1, yeah, that allow you to explain beyond it doesn't make sense, right? Because it doesn't make sense it's not good enough for this class, all right? Okay, what about the complement modifiers, right? Because tall or wooden is an adjunct, right, in a noun phrase. What about the complement modifiers? How do we know that secretary is in control? What possible complements does it license and which are blocked. What other characteristic does the noun secretary have? It's animate. What else?
Concrete.
It's concrete.
Countable.
Countable. What else? It's singular, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we can say a secretary, we can say the secretary. Can we say many secretary?
No.
Okay. Yeah? So this is what shows control, right? That some modifiers will be allowed, others won't be allowed. Yeah, and that is the predicative of, or the power of the head. Yeah, the head has this power, right, of allowing or disallowing certain modifiers, right? Very good. So when it comes on the other side of the coin, has to do with dependency, right? Dependency. And how do you exemplify or explain dependency amongst constituency in syntax? There is the element of control and there is the element of dependency. What does that mean? There is a hierarchy, very good, Martina, yes. So the head is going to be dominant, right? And the modifiers are going to be of lesser rank there. Good, fantastic, yeah? What else?
But maybe it depends to the head because it can stand alone.
All right, very good, right? So dependencies, right, will be clear and will be evident, right, when the modifier needs to be in the same constituent, right, in the same unit as the head, right? And we have very clear examples with relative clauses that we saw some weeks ago, right? And when you work with a relative clause or when you identify a relative clause, the relative clause is what function does a relative clause have?
Subordination.
Okay, it's a subordinator, but what function does it have in the sentence?
It's a post modifier.
It's a post modifier, right? Thank you, Vero. It's a post modifier, right? It's a post modifier to a noun, yeah? But it is dependent on the head in such a way that relative clause is going to move together with the noun, right? So it's going to be attached to that, right? And it won't be possible to have that unit away from the head that is controlling it, right? So as we were saying, right, this is what we mean when we talk about heads, modifiers, control, and dependency, right? This is how we can see, right, that language is a rule-governed system. Yeah, we have been talking about that, right? And constituency tests, right, as seen by Osborne, right, allow us to reveal these relationships, right, and to see how the units are connecting to one another. Yeah, so the constituency test show that words are not randomly attached to one another, right? They are grouped, and they are grouped first in phrases and then in bigger units, right? and they are grouped following rules, right, that are very clear and precise, yeah, and behind language, right? These groups of words, right, that are connected together and that move together and that relate to one another and have some rules, right, making these decisions are called constituents, right? So in semantics, we are going to talk about entities in the world of reality, right? In syntax, we are going to talk about constituents, right? Units. A constituent can be a determiner and a noun, or a whole sentence, or a subordinate clause, right? But the important thing is that there is a relationship that is marked by the rules that are governing this dependency, right? And control, yeah? So the groups of words may be phrases, clauses, or sentences, right? Or individual words sometimes, yeah? Now, when we have greater constituents, sentences, right? These sentences can be broken down, right, into smaller units, lesser constituents, lesser because they have hierarchically a lower rank, yeah? And this is kind of like the reverse process. From words, we go to bigger units, and from bigger units, we can chunk them and cut them up, right, to reveal smaller relationships, right? And these smaller constituents, right, combine with one another, yeah, to make bigger units, right? This property of language is called recursion, right? In the sense that we can add and add and add and add and continue adding and make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger units, right? So we go from one word to a phrase. From a phrase, we go to a sentence. From a sentence, we go to a clause. From a more complex sentence, right, containing a subordinate clause. From a complex sentence, we can go to a paragraph. From a paragraph, we can go to I don't know, a chapter, right? And from a chapter, we can go to a whole text, yeah, a whole novel, right? And we can go on and on and on and on and continue adding, right? In the case of a simple sentence like the dog is in the bedroom, right? We have this being made up of the noun phrase, the dog, right? And the prepositional phrase, in the bedroom, right? But if we want to reveal how that is working, we can identify the prepositional phrase in, right? And inside the prepositional phrase, the noun phrase that is the complement, right? So one thing is built inside the other one, yeah? So far so good? This is an introduction, and this is information that you're already familiar with, yeah? Okay. All right. Now, how do we reveal and test and find these relationships amongst language, right, or within language? Well, Osborne talks about 5 distinct tests that you can apply, right, to find out if there is dependency amongst the units that you are studying, or the units are independent, yeah? The 5 tests are listed here, right, and we are going to see them in detail, right? Topicalization, or preposing or fronting, right? Clefting, pseudo-clefting, proform substitution, or substitution in general, and answer fragments, okay? Okay. In order to study these tests, we are going to use them and apply them to different kinds of constituents, right? We have this sentence, Theo has understood the idea, yeah? And the idea is the constituent that we are going to test. We want to know if the and idea are a unit or not, right? Of course, you know that this is a noun phrase, and the noun idea will require a complement, and the complement in this case is the definite article, right? But for the sake of simplicity, we are going to work with this constituent as a test, yeah? So what does topicalization mean, right? Well, in the case of topicalization, what we are going to do, or topicalization of preposing or fronting, right, is we are going to bring this unit to the front, right, and see if the unit moves together, right? So what we are going to have is, and the idea, Theo certainly has understood, yeah, and the idea, Theo has understood, right?
Mercedes,
Yes.
sorry, are you sharing your screen?
I'm not
I can't see it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I was convinced that I was sharing.
I thought it was my computer.
Really? I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I've been working with the slides, you know, like, okay, so here's this and here's that. Oh my goodness. I'm terribly sorry. Okay, give me 1 second. So I will have to start over. No, I want to show you the slide because it's really pretty. Okay. So we have, this is what I was saying at the beginning, right? And I was showing you this. I thought I was showing you this. Words are not an arbitrary sequence, they are grouped, right? Constituents include phrases, clauses, etc. Language is a rule-governed system. There are greater constituents made up of lesser constituents, or lesser constituents combined to become bigger bigger ones, right? The dog is in the bedroom, the dog in the bedroom, etc. Right? So we were saying then that the 5 tests are topicalization, clefting, pseudo-clefting. That's why I was going fast, because I thought you were reading, okay? And we are here now. Theo has understood the idea. The idea is the test constituent. As I was saying, you of course know that this is a unit, yeah? I'm sorry. When we apply the topicalization test, what we do is move this unit to the front, right? And see what happens. See if the unit moves together or not, right? And the idea of Theo certainly has understood, right? This is something that is possible in some contexts for emphasis, right? And in topicalization, what we do is front the test constituent, right? This is something very common, for example, with adverbs of time, adverbial agents of time, right? In the morning, I don't usually have breakfast, right? So this moves together, yeah? The whole prepositional phrase moves together to the front, right? It works, there is no problem, there is this is grammatically acceptable, right? The message is clear, right? So this means that in the morning is a unit, right? That is moving together, yeah? The other test that we can use is that of clefting, where we're going to use it to anticipate the noun phrase. It is the idea that Theo has understood, right? So Theo has understood the idea. It is the idea that Theo has understood, right? Again, for emphasis, we focus the constituent, right? With it is or it was, or yeah, it is or it was, yeah? In the case of pseudo-clefting, we use what? What Theo has understood is the idea, yeah? So the test constituent is focused using what, blah, 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 and the constituent, yeah? In the case of pro-form substitution, you substitute the test constituent for a pronoun, right? Theo has understood that, or Theo has understood it. Yeah, you replace it with a pro-form, a pronoun. Yeah, generally. And finally, we use questions, right? The answers to which has to be the test constituent, right? What has Theo understood? The idea, right? So this is an answer fragment, yeah? And the question is, can the test constituent be the answer, right, to a question word, right? On its own. What has Theo understood? The idea, yeah? So this is one possibility, right? Testing the constituent, the idea, right? There are other elements that we can test, right? In this simple sentence, we can test Theo, yeah? Theo has understood the idea, where Theo is the test constituent. Topicalization here is not possible because Theo is already at the beginning of the sentence, right? But we can try testing, clefting, sorry. It is Theo who has understood the idea, yeah? And pseudo-clefting needs to be changed a little bit. The one who has understood the idea is Theo. In the case of the pro-form substitution, you are going to use the pronoun he. He has understood the idea, yeah? And in the case of the answer fragment, you need to replace the question word. Who has understood the idea? Theo, yeah? Now, what you need to understand here is that when it comes to individual words, such as Theo, or short phrases like the idea, right? And the test is irrelevant, right? I am showing you the mechanics with simple units, right? So that you know where to put things, right? But then you don't need to test these units, right? It is not necessary to test these units. The problem comes, right, when, for example, after Theo, you have a relative clause, yeah? Not after Theo, but after the idea, for example. Theo has understood the idea suggested by the board. Yeah? So the idea suggested by the board, is that a unit or isn't it? Okay? Does this move together or doesn't it? Yeah? Or is the idea one thing and suggested by the board another thing? Okay? I'd like to do that, right? To show you why we are doing this. Okay? So give me 1 second. I'm going to share something else. I'm still sharing, right? Yeah. Now I don't want to stop sharing. Sorry, I left something on the stove. Okay, so here we have Theo has understood the idea the board suggested. Okay, I changed it a little bit, okay? Can you see?
Yes.
All right, right. So here's the thing. We have a unit here. We we have the verb phrase. Yeah. Has understood. Yeah. And understand requires a subject and a direct object, right? So I need to decide what the limit of the direct object is, right? Because I have an additional verb phrase here, which is suggested, right? And you suggest something. You need a subject and a direct object too, right? So what is the direct object of understand? All right? So I need to test if everything that comes after understand is a unit, yeah, that I need to later analyze, right? Or if it is two different things, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to work with the idea, like we were doing before, right? So we are going to topicalize it. And the idea Theo has understood, the board suggested. Does that work? And the idea Theo has understood, the board suggested. Alan?
Yes. Hello, teacher. I have a question.
Yes.
You see, in the schedule of this year,
yeah,
more specifically in class number 2,
yeah,
in the bibliography,
yeah,
we have these topics.
Yeah, but we couldn't see it. So I moved it to today.
All right, okay. Thank you.
Have you read? Did you read for that day?
Yes, I already have the incidents and stuff like that.
Fantastic. So then you have the information. All right. So my question is here. If I move the idea here to the front, yeah? Only the idea. Can you please silence your mic, Alan?
Yes.
Thank you. If I only move the idea, does this work in the same way as before? And the idea Theo has understood, the board suggested. All right, let's try a different version. Yeah. And the idea the board suggested, Theo has understood. Does that work? All right, you're not very convinced. You're not very convinced, but there seems to be a better message, right? A clearer message in the second case, right? So let's try a second test, yeah? Topical testing. It was, the idea that CEO has understood, the board suggested. Does that work? Okay, so I seem to have a second instance in which the idea on its own cannot be considered a constituent. Yeah? Let's try the idea the board suggested. The idea, it was the idea that CEO, sorry. The idea the board suggests, it was the idea the board suggested that CEO has understood. Is that a clear message? All right. It sounds like a clearer message, right? Okay, great. let's try what? The pseudoclefting, right? What Theo has understood the board suggested was the idea. What Theo has understood it was or is the idea the board suggested. Which one works better? The first one or the second one?
Second.
Okay. So do you see what I mean? By the test, yeah? All right. Yeah? When you have a unit that is bigger, yeah, than just a noun and its complements, yeah, testing makes more sense, right? Because it allows you to justify, right, units that go together. Yeah? Do you want me to do the others? To do the other tests? Let's do the others. Let's do, okay. Theo has understood it. The board suggested. Or Theo has understood it.
This is the proform substitution.
Right. This is proform substitution. Yeah. Either I suggest I replace only the idea or the idea and the rest. Yeah. In the case of number 5, what has Theo understood the board suggested? The idea. Or 5, what has Theo understood the idea the board suggested? Can you see this? How this works?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, shoot. I knew it. There's one. Okay, God. Wait, because I'm missing one sentence here. This has had some time. Okay. Here you have the second sentence, sort of. The first one is a little cut, but here you have it. Okay? So this allows us to prove, right, that the direct object, right, that understand, has selected is the noun, right, the head noun, the determiner, and the post modifier, yeah, which is, of course, a relative clause, yeah. Theo has understood the idea which the board suggested or that the board suggested, okay? Now, in going over this and selecting either just the noun with the determiner or the noun, the determiner, and the rest of the elements, right, we can isolate, right, which is the constituent that moves together, which are the units that depend on one another, yeah? So all the constituent that comes after the noun head, the head noun, the board suggested is dependent on the head noun, yeah, and it is controlled by it, yeah, so it needs to move together with it, right, or else you have an ungrammatical sentence. Can you see this? Okay. Great, fantastic. So let us take a break now, so that when we get back, we can continue discussing this and practice a little bit. All right? We're going to see some more examples and practice some more. Okay? So take 15 minutes. I'll see you quarter to 8. Bye.